You're listening to the Iron and Grace podcast, so pick up your sword and join the good fight.
All right, Mark 2, 3 through 5. And they came, bringing him a paralytic carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him. And when they had made an opening, they let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." What's up, brother?
What's up? Good. This is Drew.
This is Kyle.
This is Iron and Grace. So, topic today.
Friendship.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot over the last, couple years in the podcast space that I like to listen to. Guys talking about finding friends that will be your mat carriers. Ones that, I call them the 3 a.m. friends, the ones that you can call in an emergency. And as important as I think that is, I don't hear a lot of people talking about being one of those friends.
Yeah.
Talk about the importance of finding friends that will be the ones that'll answer the call. But I think it's even more so important to be that friend.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
And what does it kind of mean to be that friend per se? Mm-hmm. And that I think today, at least from a men to men standpoint, I think friendship is something that's kind of been attacked. And I don't know if that's a spiritual attack or if that's just culture attacking it. But I mean, how many times do you see where men, they might be considered, people say it's gay, or you shouldn't have that type of relationship with another guy, but it's almost like that wholesome brother type friendship has been attacked to the point where men don't have it anymore, or it's to the flip side of self-motivated friendships that are definitely not gospel-centered friendships.
Yeah, well, sorry guys. I have I have a good amount of friends. We've got a gym full of friends. I've got friends outside the gym. And I've got a handful of guys that I know if something happened, I could call on them and they'd be here. And that's great. That's important. But what I find, more important, or at least what I try and focus on a lot, is being the guy that's willing to I don't want to say put myself out to help out, but it's really important for me to know, or for you to know, that if you need me at 3 a.m., you have no doubt in your mind that I will answer the phone, that I'll be there. Yeah. To whatever degree that means. Hey man, my car broke down, I need help. Hey man, we got to hide a body.
Yeah.
Or,
and that's something
to move safe. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And that's something that I think, I trust in you that you are that type of person. I mean, that's been demonstrated from our friendship, and then just seeing you be that for other people. Like the other day, I had car trouble, and we were supposed to be meeting somebody we had class, and it was somebody's last day. And I wanted to text Kyle to let him know that, hey, I'm not going to make it to class. Let him know that, I'm not bailing on him.
Right.
I couldn't make it. And I almost didn't text you because I was like, I know that Kyle would drop everything he has to come out here and help me fix the car 45 minutes away from where he lives.
And I for sure.
Yeah. And he would. And that's the type of friendships that we should strive after. And I think there's a level of trust that you have in each other that makes the friendship different than just a surface level friendship.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's easy to be that friend for somebody who is that friend to you.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you about it today, is I think, and I could be wrong, but in my mind, I think it's almost more important to be that friend for somebody who's not necessarily that friend back to you.
Yeah.
I've got a couple buddies that I love to death that I know if I called them and needed something, if it was a minor inconvenience, they're not coming.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's important for me to still be that friend to them.
I think and when you look at our friendships and how we interact with other people, we have to be gospel focused on why we're having these friendships. And I think a lot of friendships and relationships that we have are so self motivated. It's like, what can that person do for me? Or even just like the self interest of, you might befriend someone that has a lot of money because you know that you're going to be able to go. Right. I mean, this is a hyper example, but like you go on a yacht or you go to these trips, like they're paying for them. Like
I need more friends like that.
Yeah, there's like that selfish desire for certain friendships, or even like we talked about on our last podcast, like maybe we have a healthy relationship because I'm not a car guy, but that's an example of like someone that might befriend you out of the standpoint of I get to come see the shop and see these really cool cars.
Everybody's got that friend, like air quotes friend, that you never ever hear from unless they need something.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. And, I always say it's better to be the guy getting called to help than the guy calling for help.
Yeah.
Better to be the one with the capability to help than the one that doesn't have it.
Yeah. And I think it's through, I was reading or I was listening to on there a book, and it's about evangelism essentially, but it talks about when we're sharing the gospel with people, we don't necessarily just, that's our goal, right? To share the gospel with them. But there's a level of plowing that goes into it ahead of time to basically prepare the field for the gospel. Yeah. Right. And there's a lot, I think it's Matthew. It has the parables of where the seed has been sown, but that plowing the field, and in the book he talked about a lot of that's done through our friendships. Yeah. Being, like you said, the person that he might be the friend that never calls you unless you need help. How do we respond when we're that person being called,
right?
And us going out there and still helping them, even if it's like, well, John I called him and he was too busy 4 times in a row.
Right.
And now I'm like, I could drop what I'm doing and go help him.
Yeah.
Or I could say what he told me, and it's the example that you set by being that person that drops what they're doing to go help, that plows that field to open the door for the gospel.
Yep. And I think if you are that friend or you want to be that friend, it's important to be that friend and not to keep score.
Yeah.
Because, it's really easy and I think it's a little bit of, maybe it's pride to come in. Well, I've helped him this many times and I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And he's never there to help. And the couple times that I have asked for help, he hasn't been willing or able to give it. And it's really easy to kind of, to puff yourself up like, oh, I'm such a great friend and they're such a terrible friend. When in reality, if you're doing the thing that helps them so that you look like a good friend, then you're not really doing it for them at all. You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to, to be that guy, be the one who's willing and able to help. And able, it's a key word there. You have to learn how to be able to help in order to be able to help, for one. But be the one that's willing and able to help, and don't keep score. You know, don't be the friend that says, well, I helped you twice, so you need to help me twice. Yeah. That's not why we do it, or it shouldn't be why we do it.
And I think keeping score, it was the same pastor, Jim Wilson, that wrote the book that I was reading. He wrote a book on bitterness that I've read, and he talked about that example of when we keep score on things. I mean, the natural inclination when we have that scoreboard in the back of our brain is to start building a bitterness.
Right.
And that bitterness doesn't do any good in the relationship, because we should be service focused.
Yeah.
Like, we should want to serve others.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's not like a conversation we can't have, that you could sit down and be like, hey, I feel like, our friendship might not be the,
there is a point where there is potential there to get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And a wise man will recognize that. And is there a point where you go, no, I'm not able to help you this time? Or, I feel like you're taking advantage of the friendship, possibly.
Yeah.
But even scratching up against the surface of that, or, coming close to the edge of being taken advantage of, with the knowledge of that's what's happening, if the person that you're dealing with, that you're the friend to, is genuinely in need, they might be taking advantage of you because they know that you're the only one who answers the call.
Yeah.
And so, maybe to a degree they're taking advantage of, but sometimes what other option do they really have?
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know where that person is either. You don't know, I guess, the severity of what they're going through.
Right.
It could be like, the serpentine belt, my alternator broke and it shot off. So I was stuck, right? I mean, I was stuck. I crept my way to O'Reilly's and I was able to get it somewhat back together so I could get home, right? But for me, that was a minor issue, right? But you don't know what other things those people might have going on. That car issue for them might lead to, they might be in the midst of depression that puts them over the edge. Right. So I think it's important to really understand that even though you don't think it's a big issue or, it might not seem like a big issue, is to be there for them.
Right.
And
well, and a lot of times, from the outside, if I get a phone call, hey man, my car broke down, can you come help me? Yeah. In that moment, a lot of times that's like major catastrophe. Oh, my day is completely gone to shit. My car is broke down. I'm stuck on the side of the road. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. Oh, I've got a buddy with a trailer.
Yeah.
And they call, and all of a sudden, the day went, to hell in a handbasket, and now it's back on track to being okay again. And then from the outside, like, okay, your car broke down. You're going to be okay. You're going to be inconvenienced for a day. It's not the end of the world. Suck it up. But, to that person who doesn't have the means or the capability of fixing the problem, it is a big deal.
Yeah. Right? I think your ankle today, right? You had an issue with your ankle, and there's people in the gym that have the agency and skill sets to be able to help you with that.
Yeah.
I can look at it and give you some advice, but short of that, I can't do too much.
It's an ankle. It's still attached. Thank God.
Yeah. It's like, I think you're all right. That's about it. But
like I told you earlier, like my first two thoughts instantly were, oh crap, my ankle's broken. And my second thought immediately was, oh, thank you, Lord, Joanna's here.
Yeah.
Because Joanna's a doctor. She's a good friend of my wife. She trains at the gym too. Mm-hmm. And, she was right there to look at my ankle. She's rubbing on it. She's checking on it. She's like, well, I don't think it's broken. I don't think you tore the tendon. So it's going to hurt for a while, but you'll be okay.
And
cool.
It was a perfect example of, a sound friendship. She left the gym, went and got the supplies she needed,
got ice,
brought it back, tended to your ankle. Mm-hmm. I get that's their profession, right? But she didn't have to do none of that, She didn't have to do any of that. She could have been like, oh, it looks okay, Kyle. You should go to patient first.
Or she could have looked at Jerry Lynn, who was right there and gone, hey, you need to go to the store and get some ice for your husband's foot. No, she didn't. She took it on herself. She went, she got ice, she got bags, she came, she wrapped it up. It was awesome. And to point to everybody else in the gym, like everybody heard my ankle pop and everybody turned and came to make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
Which drives me nuts because I do not like being babied.
Or being the center of attention.
But, it was an example of, genuine friendship. Everybody in that gym showed that, that they cared, and that was cool.
I had to be told because I didn't hear it. I was too busy beating TJ.
I definitely heard it.
Yeah.
I definitely heard it. I'm glad you got some licks in on TJ, though. Yeah. I wish I would
have
had the chance today.
Yeah. He knows that I was beating him up. But beside the point, that's a perfect example. Like, she inconvenienced herself to help the situation. And that's a good example. Like you gave that example with the I can't even say that word. How do you say it? Paralytic. There.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If someone's paralyzed and they can't move, those people could have just been like, oh, Christ is around. Like, I'm just going to go see him. Right.
Yeah.
But they step back and like, no, we're going to help this man and bring him to them.
Yeah.
There's so much more with like,
and I read that passage because that's where I think all of our friendships should end up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should be the one that's number one willing and number two capable of picking up our brothers and carrying them to Christ.
Yeah.
No matter the obstacles. These guys went through the crowd, couldn't get to Jesus because there were so many people, climbed up on the roof with the dude on a mattress, took the roof off the house and lowered him down to Jesus. Mm-hmm. We will get you to him no matter what. We will fight for this. And that's as important as it is to find men in your life that fill that role for you.
Yeah.
It's important to be that man in somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my dad about this earlier. I told him what we were going to be talking about today. And I kind of equate it a little bit to, in a different way, obviously, finding a girlfriend or a woman. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of times you've got that guy that's a kind of a 3.5, but his expectations of a woman is that she's going to be a 10.5. And it's like, yo, bro, your resume doesn't necessarily line up with the job that you're trying to get here. And the same thing. If you're a terrible friend and you expect to get a group of guys around you that are going to be mat carriers for you, that are going to come a hell or high water, point you to the cross and lead you there no matter what. Well, why do you deserve those friends if you're not willing and able to be those friends?
And it does take a conscious effort, I think, to be that type of friend. And like you said, it starts ahead of the game. It starts with, your own spiritual walk, your own education. Like we talked at Bible study this morning, like everybody does have like a responsibility to study the word, not only for themselves, but for others around them. Like, I mean, we have to, or else we're not able to serve other people and whether those friendships. Like, I mean, another example would be like jujitsu. Like we train jujitsu so that when something happens, when we're with somebody that has no type of, martial arts experience, we're able to defend them because of our skill set, and that's why we do the preparation and things so that we can be that friend to everyone, that we have those friendships with.
Yeah. And, and again, going back to the guy who's willing and able to be the help when the help is needed, the more times you put yourself in that situation, the more times that you are the guy that can answer the call and does answer the call, the more weight your opinion gets to that person. If you're always the one that's, for one, you're the guy that they call every time because you know how to solve the problem. Like that in itself earns you some level of credibility, and you earn a level of trust because they know, hey, when I'm in need, I can call this guy, and he drops what he's doing or arranges things as necessary, and he shows up. He shows up when I need somebody to show up. So when the one that's willing and able to show up, starts to point out, not necessarily shortfalls in their life, but starts to lead them to Christ, to the cross, to the Word of God, I think they're a lot more likely to take what you have to say into consideration.
Absolutely. And it's like in that book Jim Wilson wrote, like when you're plowing the field, like that is what we're talking about. Like for these friendships and the service-based mentality towards these friendships, like that's how we plow the field for people that, haven't come to Christ or haven't really had that experience or I mean, you think about people that are out there, right? And the people we befriend and the people we meet, whether it's, our acquaintances at work or at the jiu-jitsu gym, you don't know like what their past is.
Right.
They may have never once had a Christian as a friend,
right,
or any type of acquaintance, and by us plowing that field and really being a good friend to them, it really opens the door. And that's not to say like, I mean, their heart may be hardened and they might not.
Yeah. But just because you do the work beforehand doesn't mean that the seeds are going to grow.
Yeah. But we have a duty and a responsibility to do that work and plow that field. Yeah. And, once we plant that seed, and I mean, we do nurture that seed, but, it's the Holy Spirit that moves on them and, brings them to Christ. But we do have a responsibility while we're here to plow that field and honor those relationships that we have.
Yeah. And it's important too for friends that are believers and for ourselves, because I screw it up way more often than I get it right. So, it's important for us as believers with friends that are believers. Because I got lots of friends that are believers that couldn't change a tire to save their life.
Yeah.
They need help just as often as my buddies probably more often than my buddies that aren't. But it's the same thing. We earn that rapport. And it also gives them a little bit of weight to speak into our heart too. Like, I may be the guy that shows up to help you when you need physical help, but that also gives you the opportunity to speak to me a little bit. Hey, I know you've been helping me out here, but I noticed this in your life. I see you struggling here. Can I speak into that a little bit? Like you can help me here, but I can help you in this way. Yeah. So it does go both ways.
It does. I think for me, one thing that I've always struggled with is like, I've always been a very like, I don't want to say independent person, but I mean, an independent person. And it's probably hurt me over the years. And sometimes I feel like when I have a friendship with someone and I can't give them what they're giving me in return, it's almost like I want to close off because I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
It's very difficult for me to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to give it, but it's really hard to ask for it.
But, like you said, you never know where you're able to give that help, right? Like you may not be able to do exactly what, like you're talking about changing a tire. Like okay, every time I need to change a tire, I can change a tire, but every time I need to change a tire, I got to call Kyle. It's like, oh, this, I feel in my heart that this is becoming one-sided. Like I'm calling Kyle for all this car help, right?
Well, at some point I can go, okay, bro, now I will teach you how to change a tire.
Yeah. But there's going to be stuff on the flip side. And there's different seasons in life too that, our friendships are ongoing. They're not, acute. They're not only in those situations. Right. So there might be, I'm having car troubles for the last 6 months, a year from now, Kyle might have some type of trouble that I'm the exact right person to help handle, you know?
That's like our buddy Mateo. He's an HVAC guy. I am not an HVAC guy. I could maybe Google it and figure things out if I really, really had to, but I have a problem with the air conditioning of the house. I'm calling Mateo because I know he's going to come quick. He's going to take care of it. He's going to probably not charge me as much as he should. I'm going to have to stuff extra money in his pockets. But he's that friend for me.
Yeah.
At least in that situation.
And we support each other. And I think that
always gives me the opportunity to poke him about proposing to his girlfriend.
Yeah. He's going to be like listening to these. Like,
I hope so.
Every episode they be hitting me.
He told me before, he's like, if you're going to call me out, just call me out. So here you are.
Now we're using names.
But I'm thanking you.
Directly.
Like, very grateful for Mateo and his skill set.
Yeah, that is very true. It's very true.
And he gave a good example of this today with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. They're both believers and they're in the Word and they're trying to learn and they're cultivating a really great relationship. And she had some questions about things that she had learned in the past. Mm-hmm. And he did the homework. He was in the Word. He did some searching, and he found good, solid, biblical doctrine to bring to her to help answer her questions. Like he answered that call, and I was super proud of him. He's a young guy. He's 24, 25 years old, and he's actively pursuing being a leader in his household, a spiritual leader in his household, which I just think is awesome.
And he used that exact terminology. And that's something that, with my relationship with Sienna and our marriage, like there was a Vodi Bachman short that I watched and he's just going off about how like he's tired of young men. And I mean, young people, all people, right? I mean, not just men, because everyone has a duty to study the scriptures and educate themselves. But we put a weight on like, oh, I have a pastor, I have a church. Mm-hmm. Like I go there, I learn, and I come home. Like we are not that. We're called to be leaders in our families. Mm-hmm. We're called to be leaders in our community. And that starts with knowing this. If we don't know this and we don't study and educate ourselves, how are we supposed to, if Mateo had come to that situation, she had those questions and he hadn't sat back like, I need to study the Word. I need to find an answer because I love her and care for her. And I want to give that answer to her because she's come to me for help.
Right.
And if that's the mentality that we should have in our friendships. Obviously, they have more than a friendship, but that duty to help our friends should be the mentality we have because, I mean, I think we've all felt it, right? Somebody comes to you, and you never know. Like, you could be just sitting at home and dealing with stuff, and somebody texts you. It's like, you're scrolling, and you're like, this is going to take some time, right? But you should be putting time into those friendships. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's easy to be like, answer with like a short answer, like, yeah, I agree with you. Right. But, or, you should take a step back and like, whatever the issue they're having is, if it's scriptural, study the scripture, see where your opinion is so that you can help them, Don't just kick the can down the road, essentially. Like, cause I think that's a lot of what you experience, at least in like surface level friendships. It's like, it's almost like you call yourself friends, but you're really just acquaintances that, I don't know why you want to be friends with someone that's not like that, but it's almost like for show. Like it's almost like a cultural thing. Like it's like, oh, we're friends, but like you don't do any of the friends stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can tolerate being around you for short periods of time. Yeah. But when we're not around, please leave me alone. Yeah.
It takes effort in a friendship. It doesn't mean that you have to like be around them 24/7 and things like that. But like when I guess like duty calls, like you got to step up.
Right. And hey, some of my best friends live on the other side of the country. I've got a very good friend who's in Southwest Texas. I see him once a year, maybe. Yeah. And he's not great about answering the phone, so sometimes I'll only talk to him once every couple months. But I know, and he knows, if I called him right now, it's like, buddy, I really need you. I need you to find a way to get here. He would. Yeah. And he knows the same. If he called me and was like, dude, I need you in Texas ASAP, he knows that I'd be in my truck on the way or at the airport on the way.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And another important thing, aside from just being the one that's willing to show up, is doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Keeping your word, from the little things to the big things. Hey, man, I'll call you back. Yeah. Should mean you can expect a call back from me.
That's a big one, I think.
I do too. I letting your yes be yes and your no be no shows your integrity and your commitment to that relationship. Yeah. So if you say, yes, I will do that, or I'll be there, it should mean I will do that and I will be there.
Yeah. And I think that speaks towards, like we've talked about marriage being, service-based, and we're looking into our marriage not as a self-serving relationship, but as a service to whoever we're married to. I think friendship should be looked at that same way too, right? Mm-hmm. It's a service based. We're going into this friendship, of how can we better this person that we're friends with? How can we help this person that we're friends with? There's a lot of, I got off topic, but there's a lot of selfishness, I think, when it comes to, and there's a lot of things like that. You say, but you don't do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, all things being said, like we all screw this up from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, when your track record is already poor, when you're already the guy that doesn't return the phone calls, when you're already the guy that's never there when help is really needed, and you fall a little bit farther from where you were, the chances of your friends giving you grace or being there and ready to pick you up are pretty slim. Whereas if your track record is pretty solid, you're usually the guy that's there to help, and something happens and you can't do it, or you slip up and you said you'd be there and you're not there. I think there's a little bit more grace available when your track record is good versus when your track record sucks.
Yeah, I think, and it like, what are the cornerstones of like a good friendship? And I think integrity has to be one of those cornerstones, right? And it's important for all of us individually to prioritize integrity, virtue, morals, because that's the type of friends that we need to have. It may not be the type of friends you want to have, depending on the season of life, I mean, there was a time in my life where before I was a Christian, I didn't want nothing to do with those people.
Right.
Because they convicted me.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's the example of where it's so important to be that guy.
Yeah. I mean, that was the last thing I wanted to hear. It was exactly what I needed to hear in that time, and whether you're like, prior to me being a Christian, I needed to hear that because I was lost. But even as Christians, we're going to have issues. We're going to sin. We're going to have things that are misguided or things that we're thinking wrongly about. So having those sound friendships to really rein us back in and pull us out of sin, and that could be big sin. That could be little sin. That could be just, what you're thinking is wrong. But if you don't have those people around you that prioritize integrity, virtue, morals, truth, then you are lost to your own thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and out of the group of friends you have, who are the ones that you're most likely to listen to?
Yeah.
When it's, hey man, I love you. I'm here for you, but we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
I see what's going on here, or maybe it's not even that. Maybe things are actually going okay for that person, but they don't have a relationship with Christ. Again, who are they going to listen to? Like, hey man, everything is going fine.
Yeah.
Leave me be.
Yeah.
Like, well, I care for you. I'm the one that's always there when you need it. Do you think that I would intentionally lead you astray? Well, no, probably not. Okay, well, I think this is important. I think you need to hear it.
Yeah.
Things are good for you right now, and that's awesome. But consider this. And I hear a lot about it being important to keep standards, that you should have standards for the people that are around you. And I think that's an okay thing. But are you upholding the standard that you expect everybody around you to keep?
And then even if you're not even if you are upholding those standards, like our name, like Iron and Grace, I think that demonstrates this perfect example. Like, as men, we should have standards. We should have integrity-based, lives. Like, standards and principles mean something. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't exhibit grace to someone that maybe not having those standards at that point in time? Do we degrade ourselves? And this is a topic that has always interested me, in like empathy, and how do we approach that? You know, we can't.
What's the proper level of empathy provided at the right time?
And there's been a lot of stuff online about empathy being a sin, and that word empathy. To what degree do we exhibit empathy? I think sympathy is the better word, you know, but because you see the overly empathetic people, especially like parents sometimes can be that way. And I think it can definitely be that way in a friendship. I can't tell you how many people I've had in and out of my life that, I mean, no matter really what you could have gone to them with, they're going to just confirmation bias you and give you the answer that they think you want to hear, whether that's them being selfishly motivated of like, oh, I don't want Kyle
to get out of this conversation as quickly as possible.
Or I don't want Kyle to be mad at me or be upset with me, right? Like, I'm just going to, like, I know the answer he wants to hear and I'm just going to give it to him. Or they just, even if it's just like life advice, like, okay, I'm thinking about going back to school and pursuing this. And as a friend, you want to give them an honest answer. You might not think that that's a good idea. And you could possibly upset them and tell them, like, I don't think that's a good path. Like, this, you've had this going on. I think you should dive into that deeper. Yeah. Or you could just be like, they seem excited. Yeah, go do that. You know, that's not a friend. That's just a yes man. That's just someone, anybody.
Well, and that's kind of what I mean by, you know, you earn a bit of a seat at the table there with the type of friend that you are. You know, being a friend that's there when needed, being a friend that keeps to the standard that they hope the ones around them keep. You know, being one who their yes means yes and their no means no. Gives you the, I don't want to say authority, but it's the only word that comes to my tiny brain right now. Gives you the authority to speak into that friend's life. You know, I understand that's what you feel like you want to do right now, but why don't you look at it from this way? I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for you right now.
Yeah.
And because you've shown that you know, are a friend who cares for them and is there for them.
Yeah.
That you've got a little bit of skin in the game, so to speak. I think what you have to say is way more likely to be heard.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that you can't go through life like on your own. I mean, I guess you could, but it's not a productive way to go about it. And as biblical Christians, it's certainly not what God tells us to do.
Right.
I was listening to John Piper's, one of his little videos on the way here, and it was talking about, you know, God always sent his apostles out 2 by 2, right? Christ, you know, that's how they went out, because they could hold each other accountable and lift each other up, right? When you're just one person, you're not only at the mercy of your own sinful heart, but you're also at the mercy of all these things that are happening around you. You're strongest too, right? Yeah. You know, you have that accountability that you can hold each other accountable, you can lift each other up, you can help each other, and you are stronger as a unit. I mean, in marriage, you're stronger as a unit, and in our friendships, you're stronger as a unit. And when you build these communities, which I think you're seeing more in the world today, like these strong Christian communities that are really building foundations that are unshakable, you know, and that's what a solid friendship is like an unshakable foundation. Like you described it, you had with Walter, like that's somebody that over the years you've built that really strong friendship with, and that trust that if something hits the fan, like I can call this guy and I know he's going to really reach down and help. And it gives you some, I don't want to use the word motivation, but kind of some wind in your sails to take chances that you might not take, you know, if you were just out there on your own.
Yeah. And, you know, and him specifically, you know, we've been through things during our friendship, like individually apart from each other, where we really had the opportunity to show up.
Yeah.
And be some level of help in a way that wasn't necessary, that most people wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, even that most friends wouldn't. So there's a level of buy-in there, or like it's important for me to be prepared, not just so I can take care of myself and, you know, my family, like obviously that's priority one, but not too far behind that is being prepared so that if something happens, you know, with him in that friendship or one of you or one of my guys here, like I am ready and able. Like, I think that word able is super important.
Word. Yeah.
Like, I'm able to be help. Sometimes that's financially. Sorry, buddy, I'm not going to be much help that way right now. Maybe eventually, we'll see. But, physically, I'm strong, I'm in shape. I'm only moderately broken right now. So, I might not help you move furniture today, but, I have a trailer that's ready to go. I've got and not that everybody needs to go out and buy a truck and trailer so that they can be the friend to help. But like me personally in my life with my capabilities, the things that I've grown up doing, I know I'm capable of helping in the physical ways. I'm not super smart. I'm not a theologian. I don't have a whole lot of help to give on that side of things. But in the physical world, like, hey man, my roof's leaking. Oh shoot, I know how to do a roof. Or my car broke down. Okay, I may not be able to fix it, but I can move it for you. I got a trailer. Hey, I need help moving this thing at my house. Okay, I'm on it. I'm there. And I'm not always perfect about this, but I try really hard to be that guy every chance. And like you briefly mentioned in marriage, and probably do my best to bring up how important marriage is in every single podcast we ever do. But
ultimate friendship.
Yeah, it is. That is the ultimate friendship. And my wife, above everybody else, knows that I'm going to be there for her no matter what.
Yeah.
If she calls me, if my phone starts buzzing right now and it's her, I'm going to answer it. And if she needs me, well, I'm going to hit the stop button on the roadcaster and be on my way to the house right now. She has ultimate trust in me, and I have ultimate trust in her. And, and her and the kids see me being that guy, or at least me trying to be that guy for my friends. So it's an example for my children to know what it looks like to be a helper.
Yeah.
And an example to my wife to show her that I am one that can be trustworthy. I am one that you want on your side.
And I think that's a good segue into, when you're telling that story, I kind of thought of something is you don't have to be friends with everybody first off.
Right.
We are neighbors to everyone as we're all built in the image of God. So that's how we should view everybody. And we're neighbors, and neighbors might be a bad example because that might be geographical, right? But all humans have
I know what you mean.
Yeah, all humans, we have a duty and honor to honor everyone around us as humans and treat them a certain way, right? But there's friendships that lift us up and friendships that might drag us down. Just because someone's close to you and an acquaintance, whether it's at work or jiu-jitsu, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a friendship with them or build that. But on that topic of, we have a similar Christian foundation. I'm not going to get mad if that happens. I'm going to be like, well, can I help drive you there? Like, cause your ankle, like Jerry Lynn needs you. And for me, I'm like, that's why Kyle's a solid dude, because he's going to hit that mic button and stop this podcast and go help his wife just like I would. Right. And that's a similarity that we have. Telling a Charlie Kirk story. Frank Turek was given an example of I think it was a memorial or when it was, but he was given an example of like who Charlie was as a person. Right. And they used to go on walks together. And Frank and Charlie, they would just talk about stuff. Charlie was using Frank to help him with his theology and apologetics, because that's what he specializes in. And there was a time where he went over there and he was like supposed to meet him, and he wasn't meeting him, and he texted him like, "Hey, everything all right?" And it was because Charlie was inside because there was some type of issue that his family had, whether it was kids or wife or what it was, and that came first. And Frank Turek wasn't like, "Really, Charlie? I drove all the way over here. Right. You're dealing with this. You can't just come out here like you can't deal with it." No, he was like, that's why I'm friends with him, because he put his family first. He put his kids first. There's a hierarchy to it and a priority. Right. It almost built their friendship more, just like that would. Like, I want to be friends with Kyle more because he did that, Well,
and there's a time where, okay, we're getting ready to sit down for dinner. Dinner's made, dinner's hot, and on the table, my phone rings, and it's somebody who needs help. My wife knows that I'm going to eat cold dinner that night. There is a time to go, okay, honey, I love you. I'll be back later. Yeah. And, put the pistol in the holster, put the flashlight in the pocket, and
which I've heard
off we go.
That story. So like, I know you've like physically done that before. I don't remember what exactly was the happening in that situation, but I know there have been situations where you've been out there
Yeah,
in
the gun
field.
is generally a precaution,
Yeah.
not like a necessary tool.
Typically if we're in public, we have a gun. So, but yeah, I guess I have one, not on my hip though. But
I'm actually carrying my wife's pistol right now. It has a purple trigger.
nobody sees it. So,
That's why. I was gonna say, if you
purple's
gotta
a
see
royalty color.
Yeah, right. I bought a purple holster when I got my purple belt.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I'm a little bit ashamed to say that now, but I did.
Now you look at it and you're disgusted. Like, oh, I gotta look at brown holsters.
Nah, it's fine.
But and it's like, not to get off the friendship topic, but if you have a marriage that's not self-serving, that speaks to y'all two as a marriage, but it also speaks to what your marriage serves the community as a whole. All of your friendships, Jerry Lynn's friends, Deanna's friends, my friends, Kyle's friends, you might not have been able to pick up that phone and tend to whatever that friendship needed or whatever that friend needed, but you were because Jerry Lynn was there, and she sees you, and it's like, it's not just Kyle serving whoever that friend is that was in need, it's Jerry Lynn serving them too. And the strength of your marriage.
And that's an important thing to bring up.
The strength of your marriage was able to help support that person because she could help get the kids fed, help get the things taken care of that need to be taken care of there. Or she's just like, you might be like, I'm hungry. I don't want to do this. And she can look you in the face and be like, no, you got to go help him.
Yeah. Well, and she knows because and sometimes she'll be in the moment, she'll be disappointed, which is fair. I got a call. It's been a couple months, and it was my dad and his buddy. My dad's building a house 4.5 hours away from here, and they were on their way back from dad's new house, and his buddy's truck, brand new truck. It's like a 2023. It's got like 30,000 miles on it. Broke down, wouldn't start. An hour from dad's new house. Yeah. So they're 3.5 hours away. Yeah. And he called me and he's like, hey, we're going to get his truck towed, but he's got a trailer behind it. We're not sure how to get the trailer home. And it was like 6 o'clock at night. I'm here at the shop. I hadn't even been home yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming. Which, I mean, it's my dad. So, of course. He's bailed me out more times than, But if it had been you, I would have done the same thing. And I called Jerry Lynn. I was like, hey, I got to go rescue Dad. And she's like, he kind of took a deep breath and was like, okay, where's he at? And I'm like, about 3.5 hours away. He's like, okay, what do you need? I was like, could you put some coffee on? And that was it. I came home and gave the kids hugs and got a cup of coffee and a protein shake, gave her a kiss and got on the road. And she knew, like, hey, okay, I'm on my own now for the next 7 hours. Yeah.
And I mean, that's the perfect example of like, I mean, that's an example on so many levels, friendship, children, marriage. But like it just because, I mean, me and Deanna have had situations where like someone calls us, whether it's my parents, her parents, friends, cousins, nephews, whatever it is, sister, brothers. And it's like, just because your reaction is like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do it, right? You can feel those emotions and be inconvenienced and feel that, but it's the courage of I don't know if courage is the right word. It's the active state of overcoming whatever those, I guess, negative emotions are and actually serving whoever is calling you. That's what makes the difference, right? Instead of feeding into that of like, I got all this stuff I got to do. It's a real inconvenience. I don't want to do that. Right. The difference between just sitting there and be like, I can't do it, and going out there and helping is overcoming those feelings that you have, because it doesn't make you like a bad person for feeling that way. We're all going to feel that way, when we're inconvenienced.
Have to be careful too with it. There's like a little bit of pride of, I'm inconveniencing myself for someone else again so that I can play superhero. So you got to be careful with that. Yeah. Because it's almost like that hero complex thing where firefighters start arsoning houses so they've got. So
it can help. Yeah. Because who are you really like? I get like that's a good way to put it, and that's something I've never probably really thought of in like that context of like, I feel inconvenienced. Like, who are you to be inconvenienced, right? Like, kind of.
Yeah, and and sometimes too, we don't know how far that little bit of help that we provide goes. Yeah. We had an example, and this example turned out pretty cool in the long run. The young group of guys that I knew, it's 2 guys, they were brothers, and they came from a rough home. A rough home. Dad was drugs and alcohol and kind of abusive, and just not a good place. And they had gotten, I think, kicked out. He was living in a trailer with his girlfriend with no electricity in the middle of someone else's field. And it was
bad,
not great. Yeah. And so they were not staying with him, which meant they were staying in a tent in the woods. Which is crazy. This kid was, one of them was 19, one of them was 16 or 17, something like that. And we were trying to help him out a little bit with, advice and a handful of things. And I'd given him my number. I was like, hey, if something goes south and you need me, call me. Well, that call came at 11:45 at night, and I answer the phone, and the younger brother says, our tent just got attacked by a bear. And I'm like, come again? He's like, I am scared to death. I don't know what the hell is going on. Something just attacked our tent and drug it away, and all of the food that we had is all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. So
I don't know how to prepare for this.
I looked at Jerry Lynn, and I'm like, the boys' tent just got attacked by a bear. And she's like, come again? I said, yeah, that's what he said. So I'm like, I've got an apartment above the shop. If you guys want to crash there for a couple nights, which ended up being a headache. But, I went and picked him up, and we talked a little bit on the way back, and they crashed here at the shop for a couple days and kind of got them reoriented. And there was stuff with their dad. They had found their tent, and then he came and took it while they were here. It was just a train wreck. Very, very long story short, we're months, maybe a year or so out from that now. And the help that we gave them, which was, to us was a minor inconvenience. Yeah. We helped them out, but it wasn't a huge deal. The younger one has now graduated high school, gotten accepted into a welding program, has done so good in his welding program that now he's working at the shipyard. He's the highest paid one in his group. Wow. He's making like $30-something an hour now as a 19-year-old kid. He's got a great relationship with a good young girl. I actually think he just proposed to her.
Yeah, he did.
And, he came to the gym the other day, and I just told him, I was like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Like, I had told him, because we were talking about his dad, and unfortunately his dad has since passed away.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he drowned.
Oh, wow.
So, this kid has been through a ton, both of them. And I told him, I said, I'm really proud of you. Yeah. And he said, I couldn't do anything less. He said, all the help that you, and it wasn't just me. Yeah. It was Donnie. It was other guys at the gym. Yeah. There were people trying to pour into these kids. He said, but because of the help that you guys gave me, he said, I have no right to do anything other than my best. Yeah. And I was like, dude. Yeah, it's heavy. Like, and I am like genuinely so proud of this kid because he had everything going against him. Mm-hmm. If he ended up drinking and doing drugs, you wouldn't blame him a bit. You're like, what, that makes total sense. But no, he's absolutely crushing it. He's working super hard. He's doing really good. And it's awesome. And like, so, with that as even a small potential of what could happen, like, why would you not be the friend that could possibly push in that direction? Yeah.
And you never know, like, what the impact of what could be considered the small thing is going to have.
Yeah, right.
The long thing, like how big of an impact that was for them. That was it wasn't a small thing, but it wasn't something that affected y'all really that much. Right. You weren't out there having these huge financial commitments or changing your whole life to go help them.
And in the grand scheme of their life, like, we were a teeny tiny little help for a very, very short period of time.
But what impact might that have had over the long run of life, right? And even just think about his mindset too, like he just so eloquently described, which is pretty impressive for such a young person to like have that outlook on life.
And he's a believer. He's gotten into the word, and he's really trying.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really great.
You don't know what type of impact that might, when he's 40, he might have a similar situation, that his friendship with you and mentorship with you, he's going to reach out and be like, Kyle did this for me when I really needed it. And the impact compounds on each other, over time. And I think, that my opinion, that would be the Lord, working through us in the different ways that it, multiplies. But, it is our duty and responsibility, whether it feels good at the moment or not. I think you can cling to the fact that, okay, this is going to be an inconvenience. This is going to be kind of hard, but I got a duty and responsibility to do this right now.
Well, and who am I to say no?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, okay, I've been given the resources that I have. And again, in some ways they're not substantial at all, but in other in some cases it's
to who are.
Yeah, right. For the circumstances that be, like I have substantial resources. Who the heck am I to not offer the help that I can? Why did God provide me with what he's given me, if not to use it to help?
Yeah.
And
I think, the scripture confirms this, is like we are held accountable for not only the things we do, but the things we choose not to do, right?
Well, what does it say? We were not saved by good works, but we were saved
to good works.
To good works. We were saved so that we could do these good things, not to show, oh, look how great I am. Now I'm a Christian, which makes me a great person. Like, no, I am showing my gratefulness for what I have been given in giving what I can.
Yeah, and that's scripture puts it so elegantly, in the book of James. It's really laid out nicely, if that's the topic that y'all are interested in or, want to study more. But, we brought the Catholic, we looped it back in with works-based salvation. But it's, I forgot where I was going with that. But I think there's been times in my life where it's like, you feel, and through prayer and through the Holy Spirit leading you, you feel like there's something that you need to do. And I think that's something that we need to lean into as Christians, right? Because you might not see the impact that it even had. Like, I'm going to tell this example, but we had a detective at work that ended up committing suicide. And it was somebody that I was really, not really close to, but prior to being in law enforcement, I really looked up to. Him and his son trained at the same gym we did. And I knew them pretty well from working out together, and at that time his son was quite a bit younger, like in his teens, right? And him speaking to me about law enforcement is really kind of what put me into it and really got me along that path. So he was someone that I really looked up to. So for that to happen, he was a believer. For that to happen was pretty impactful to me. And I just felt like I need to write something to his son, because his son ended up working in a similar capacity, not in law enforcement, but as an attorney. So we had kind of like reconnected later in life, and I was like, I got to write him something, right? And I just felt like it was, I felt like I need to do this, right? And I could have because that, for me, that I was terrified, right? Like, who am I to write him something? His dad just killed himself, right? And it's like, who am I to write that? But it just felt on my spirit like it was such a heavy thing on me that I was like, I gotta do it, whether it's me babbling on a piece of paper or what it is. But I wrote it to him. We went to his wake, I guess it was, and gave it to him. And I didn't really talk to him about it anymore. But running into someone that worked at the same office that they did, they told me, like, no, it affected him greatly, from what he shared with us.
Sometimes just knowing that somebody else cares
and feels it.
Yeah. Like I care, not just here when we're face to face, and I have no choice but to think about it because you're physically here, but I truly care about you enough to where, I'm thinking about you and what you're dealing with when I'm not around you. Like, I think there's something to that.
There is something to that. And I think that is the deeper level, like the things that actually matter, right? When we talk about life, is like, those are the things that actually matter. It's like actually genuinely caring about someone on a level that's deeper than just our acquaintances and our self-serving things that happen in life. Like I'm friends with Kyle because he's good at jiu-jitsu and he can teach me. Not saying that that's our friendship, but
I'm not that good at jiu-jitsu anyways.
Yeah,
So.
those are those self-serving type relationships that sometimes we have.
Right.
But to really dig down and care about, like if Kyle's having marital issues, which Kyle's not having marital issues, but like it's one of those things that like I pray and I hope that like if he has a wonderful marriage, like on a deep level. And if he was having those issues, I care about it enough to really be able to help him. Right.
Right.
That's just an example, but anything like a family member dies, like you could be like, family members dying is always one that has been strange to me. Cause it's like somebody dies and everybody comes out of the woodwork, or when somebody gets sick, right? I've had personal experiences with this, but like somebody gets sick, everybody comes out the woodwork and it's like, oh, it's so sad.
Right.
And it's almost like those people feel like some type of, draw to do it that's like self-motivated, like it's the right thing to do.
Well,
I need to
and
do
you'll
this.
hear a lot, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, but do they mean it?
And that's what I was just gonna say. If you're gonna open your mouth and say, let me know if you need anything, like if I tell you, and I probably have told you at this point, hey, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean it. I mean, if you text me and say, hey man, I need you to pick me up milk at the grocery store, whatever. Like I put my word out there. I put myself out there to give you the opportunity to take advantage of that. Like, and I mean it. If you say to somebody, I'll be praying for you.
Yeah.
Then freaking pray for them.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, let me know if you need anything, and your phone buzzes, answer the freaking phone.
Yeah.
That's let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
That's me giving you my yes. Yeah. If you need me, let me know. And you should know without a shadow of a doubt, unless I'm incapacitated for some reason, I will be there to help. Yeah, well, I'm 10% incapacitated. I'm good. I will come help. I'll just be hobbling for a little while.
And I know you mean that because there's been instances. Here's an example of when the AC went out on the car and I was under that car replacing that condenser for like hours. I got a gravel driveway. Wasn't pleasant, stuffed under that little Forte. Trying to get that condenser in there, back's all bruised up. Right, I got it done. And it works great.
For driving a Forte now.
Yeah, there you go. It works great, but I seen Kyle and he was like, "Why didn't you call me? Like, you could have taken the car to the shop and put it on a lift."
Yeah, I have a lift.
Yeah, and like I could sense like you weren't angry, but like you were like
I was a little bit irritated. I'm like, bro, give me the opportunity to help you here.
Yeah, and that's an issue between me trying to be as independent as I don't want to bother Kyle, but that's how I know Kyle's genuine. Because, situations like that just prove it, right? That there's integrity there. It's like you want, and you're also like I've told Deanna's grandmother who lives with us. We've had this conversation too, of you are stripping your friends, your family members of blessings, right? The scripture calls us to be friends to others, right? And to love our neighbors. And when people have that independent mentality and don't want to reach out, you are stripping those people in your lives a level of joy, a level of, really blessings. With her, scripture directly tells us that caring for our elder family members, like, is a blessing. So for a little short example would be
Please
like,
don't tell my mother-in-law that.
It's true. It's in there, right? And that's for us to take, to build us up to think, okay, no matter how hard it is right now, this is going to be a blessing, whether it's direct right now or later in life, Scripture tells us and they promise us that, and we can trust in that. But the example,
just joking, guys.
that example with her is like, let's say she's not feeling well. She doesn't want to inconvenience me and Deanna. So she hides in her room, doesn't want to do anything. And then lo and behold, we find out because of whatever reason, whether that's like she's really sick and like, she's like, okay, I need help. Or like we find her and she's like, I need help, But I told her, I was like, look, we want to help you because it's a blessing.
Give me
to
the
us.
opportunity.
Yeah, give us the opportunity. It brings us joy being able to help each other. And I think when you're real independent like that, you do strip the people around you from that joy of helping each other.
And, I don't know, maybe be a little more revealing here than I necessarily want to be. But, I'm that way because there have been times when I needed help and help was not there. Or when I received the, hey, let me know if you need anything, and that wasn't genuine. So, like, to me, if I even have the inkling that somebody cared enough to think about me,
Yeah.
I'm really built up by that.
Yeah.
You know, and that means a ton to me.
Yeah.
Like, I know you do that because I'll get a message from you, hey, or checking on me for whatever, you saw me get hurt or whatever, and you check on me. And that, to me, like that weighs a lot in friendship to me. And that's been very rare in my life, you know, and I'm sure that I'm the cause of that, to be fair. But when I have the opportunity to show a friend, no, I do genuinely care. And I want to make sure that they have no question that I am somebody who can be relied on, that my friendship is genuine. Again, because I've had examples where that turned out to not be the case. Yeah. And that sucked. And that's, you know, maybe I carry some level of damage there. I will not use the word trauma in this case because that doesn't
for
count.
All of you that Kyle does not like the trauma
word. I don't like that word. But it has affected me enough to where, like, I am hell-bent to not be that guy.
Yeah. I think, and you don't want to, like, weigh other people down, too. Like, you know, like, that. I can feel that. And I think it speaks to, like, putting in the work in your friendships. Like, you can't just be friends. Like, there's work that's involved in that. That's what makes the difference between an acquaintance and really a friendship, right? Yeah. It's like an acquaintance, we just, you know, we may share mutual goals. We may share mutual work together that goes towards an end goal, right? But a friendship really is that humble, not self-motivated actions that we're putting in the work when it's not serving us but serving them, right? And those little things go a long way, and that's something that I try to be good about, because it's easy to, like, I mean, I think we all, like, think of each other, right? And I think we should be better about, you know, when we have those, like, this reminded me of Kyle, or this reminded me of, you know, somebody else. Like, to do the things that we feel led to do in that situation. Like, the example of, like, your ankle. Like, when I was leaving the house, like, I wonder if Kyle might need help getting here.
I live a quarter mile from the shop, and Drew texted me. He's like, hey, buddy, need me to pick you up because your ankle's hurt? I'm like, nah, bro. Yeah. Thank you.
You know, but, like, those little type things that, like, we have the, like, even just the like, warm feeling of, like, something reminds you of someone. Just sending in that text, you'd be like, hey, I was just drinking this coffee, and it really reminded me of that conversation. Yeah. That's that type of caring relationship that they know you're thinking about them on a different level than just that surface level.
Yeah. Well, I've got buddies that are in the veteran space, and I never served. I've got buddies that did. And some of them in, you know, special operations or SF or whatever. And to them, checking in on each other is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I've taken that pretty seriously, you know, and sometimes I'll just send a buddy a text, hey man, thinking of you, how you doing? Love you, brother.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes that's really what somebody needs. And it's a very small version of, you know, being the mat carrier.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a step in letting somebody know, hey man, you're cared for. I'm here if you need me.
Yeah. And the little things, I feel like, speaking of veteran, you know, I'm not a veteran. I've served in a law enforcement capacity. And when I would think about, like, guys that have served overseas and the stuff that they've done and had to do and the trauma that they carry, it's humbling to me. It makes me feel like, well, what the heck do I do with my life, you know? But even in my type of service, it's very lonely, you know, because of, to put it in simple terms, it's like the evilness that we interact with on a daily basis. At some point, it just, like, beats you down. It's like, this is just always going to be here. Right. I don't mean any, like, I guess I'm helping, you know, I'm preventing these things from happening. I'm face to face with this stuff so that other people don't have to go face to face with it. But it's very overwhelming. And I think in the relationships that have felt very genuine to me, it's the little stuff that happens throughout the friendship of little text message here, little, you know, send you something in the mail because it reminded you of them. It's those little things that, like, when it really hits the fan and, like, the veteran example or suicide example, and, like, you're really in the midst of it, those little things are the things that are like, okay, that person thinks of me when, you know, I'm not face to face with them. And those are the people that I'm willing to reach out to and have the hard conversations with, because they had the little conversation.
Yeah.
You know, those type of little actions, they really do compound in our friendships to build that trust that then that person's willing to reach out to you. Because, I mean, veterans, law enforcement, I mean, everybody, suicide's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And struggles and depression and things like that, that's real. And I think in my opinion, friendship and brotherly relationships, they can solve that. I mean, but we've got to be leading them in the right direction, right? And building genuine and plowing that field, right? But that, I mean, it's not going to, maybe it'll solve the problem. I don't know. But those type of relationships are what really change the game and change the dynamic. And whether that's accountability or what it is, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, brother, we're at about an hour and 10 minutes. So I would say, you know, to men especially, be the one that can be called. Be the one that's ready and able to provide the physical help, sometimes the emotional help, and the spiritual help, so that you can be one of the ones that helps pick up the corner of the mat and carry your brother to Christ.
Yeah. And put in the work. When you're a friend to someone and you honor that person, you're putting in the work. It's not surface level. It's not just to call each other friends or to, I'm friends with him because he's cool. You know, you put in the work, you stand in the gap, and you do the things that need to be done for that person. And, you know, you're going to get that in return.
Yeah. Be the friend that you hope to have.
Yeah. That's a good way to end it. All right.
All right, guys.
Till
This
next
has
time.
been Iron and Grace.